Hey guys, this presentation should allow you to more easily understand each of the slides in Talenya's employer sales deck. And as always, every slide in the deck has a main message point, and it sort of tells our story. So this is how I go through the sales deck and I present the Talenya solution. Hopefully it's helpful, and certainly let me know if you have any questions. Talenya is a technology company, and our technology is focused on helping companies fill jobs that they're unable to fill. Certainly, nobody likes to pay a recruiter if they don't have to, but as the unemployment rate begins to dip below 4%, many companies find that they do not have any alternative but to get professional help. And that's what our technology and that's what our entire company does, is help companies fill jobs that they are unable to fill themselves. There's really two things that are unique about Talenya, and you might have read a few articles about them. Everything that we do is designed to be different, more efficient, and provide results which traditional recruiters don't. And there's two unique things that allow us to do that. The first is a tech pillar. Talenya is very much like Google, and we are crawling the web looking for all kinds of fingerprints of candidate information. And we find them on places like GitHub and Stack Overflow and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, places like Dice, industry press releases, industry articles, blogs, etc. And we take all of that information that we find about candidates and we create rich, unified profiles that we can then match with jobs. In addition to being able to match those profiles with jobs, all that information that we're crawling allows us to predict the likelihood that candidates will be open to new job opportunities. The technology has built-in artificial intelligence and machine learning, and it's very smart at finding contact information and, again, being able to do those predictions. And I'll show you some more of that in a minute. So that's on the tech side of what Talenya does. In addition, rather than hiring traditional recruiters and having traditional recruiters on staff, we're often referred to as the Uber of recruitment. And that is because we have recruited an army of domain experts in all sorts of industry fields like finance, technology, ad tech. And these are people that have 15, 20, 25 years of domain expertise. What we do is we train them to be recruiters, what we call talent experts, using our technology and our system. And so we find that they make better recruiters. Message points are not lost from the employer, and they also make better, recruiters in terms of weeding and evaluating and qualifying talent. So those are the two things that are unique about Talenya. Basically, what our goal is to provide you 3 to 5 qualified and interested candidates at the end of our 2-week sales process. And to do that, the technology and the model and the method that I just described allows us to find talent that traditional recruiters can't, or talent that's really under the radar of traditional recruiters. If there are 1,000 people equally qualified to fill a role, let's say in New York City, you can either call them alphabetically or you can call the 50 that are most interested in the job. So our technology gives us significant advantages in terms of finding qualified people and then also finding the qualified people who are most ready or most open to new opportunities. We start off every search with data, and this is not something that other recruiters really have. Everybody has an idea or a gut instinct about how many people are in the talent pool or how many might be high matching, etc. We use actual data. Every time we start a search, we have a data scientist enter a job, and our system goes out and respiders sources as well as candidate profiles that match that job. It gives us near real-time data and allows us to see how many people in that geo are high matches for a job, how many people have specific skills that are required and seen as an advantage by our employer client, as well as how many of those people are more likely to be open to new job opportunities. And there's additional information as well. But again, we're starting every search with data. Here's an example of a profile that we would crawl, and it's all the unified information that we would find on specific candidates. What's interesting about our crawlers, again, they use artificial intelligence and machine learning to crawl, and as they crawl, it creates our taxonomy of information. So we don't tell our crawlers that there's such thing as a UX designer, or there's such thing as a blockchain programmer, or that there's even such thing as a front-end developer. But as our crawler crawls the web and crawls candidate information, it begins to learn what is a title of a person and what are skills and what are companies. And now we literally have thousands of titles, thousands of skills, and literally millions of companies in the database. And that information, again, allows us to do some really neat things. One of them is to predict the likelihood that people will be open to new job opportunities. Some of that is pretty apparent. You could either state it on your Facebook profile or put it on your Twitter or put it on your LinkedIn that you're open to new job opportunities, that you're seeking a new job, that you're looking for your next challenge. So those things are certainly obvious. But our machine learning goes even deeper, and it starts to look at things like your job history patterns, how long you've stayed at your last few jobs, and begins to make predictions based on that information. It looks at your company and sees and asks and uses information to find out if your company is shedding jobs or gaining jobs, because that means you're more or less likely to be open to new job opportunities. It looks at company stock prices, industry sentiment. It also looks at social activity, including things like life changes, like you moved, you had a child, you got married. So it's looking at all kinds of data to be able to rank people and order them in terms of how likely they are to be open to new job opportunities. You'll see on the top that there's a match score, and then there's a predictability score. And I'll show you in a minute that the system itemizes these candidates according to both of those scores. Here's an example of a job we did for a company called, the company is called ODIX, and they sell advanced cybersecurity into utility companies. These are companies that can't be down for any reason. So they were really looking for somebody that understood the procurement process of utility companies, as well as maybe even people that could come with operational knowledge, as well as a Rolodex of contacts. So that's what we did. We put in all the titles and skills that they were looking for. And you'll notice on the bottom that there's a company field. Again, because we're scraping the web and we're able to parse companies from people's profiles, we can actually source candidates from specific companies. And when we started this job, our data scientist found 40 companies that sold cybersecurity solutions and other solutions into utility companies. And we only sourced sales candidates from those places, which made ideal sales candidates. As I mentioned to you, the vast majority of our talent experts are domain experts. They had never been in the recruitment business until we trained them to do so. We find that they make better recruiters because they understand the nuances of the industry far better than typical recruiters do. Again, sort of teaching them our method, using our technology and our dashboard, we also find is a better use of recruitment training rather than sort of having to teach them and unlearn bad habits. In addition to technology and domain experts, we also use an abbreviated and new method to recruit. What happens is when we start a new job, a data scientist enters the job into the Talenya system. The system then begins recrawling the profiles and online sources where we found those types of candidates so that we have a near real-time information to work with. Immediately thereafter, your talent expert will send you sample profiles for you to give feedback on. And the reason that that's important is so that we can, again, make sure that we're going after the types of people that you're looking for. So you might say, I really like this profile and here's why, or I really don't like this profile and here's why I don't like it. The system and the talent expert then reset themselves so that we're only going after lookalikes or, again, the types of people that you'll find most interesting. And again, the goal at the end of 2 weeks is to provide 3 to 5 ideal candidates that have already been qualified, evaluated, and that we've sold your missions, your lighthouse, if you will, and have those people have indicated an interest in working for you, so that you can then use all the profiles to benchmark each other and ultimately hire one. The process, basically, we spend on average about 138 hours in terms of man hours, actually scheduling calls, engaging, trying to reach, and presenting to qualified candidates. And that 138 hours basically is screening through profiles, contacting candidates, interviewing those candidates, asking them questions, again, selling your lighthouse, and then ultimately getting 3 to 5 candidates profiles ready and submitting them to you. In terms of what we ask when we take on a project, there's really 4 basic things we ask for. The first is that, again, we are able to gather as much information as we can from you, and that would be a 20 or 30-minute phone call with your talent expert, just making sure we really understand the job, the nature of the person you're looking for, the types of functions and duties and tasks that they'll be assigned so we understand them, a little bit about your company, the salaries, things like that. The second thing we ask for is, again, as I mentioned, we're going to give you some sample profiles. We'd ask for some pretty quick feedback on those so that we can begin our search promptly. That only takes about 10 minutes for you to look through the profiles and rank them. We spend on average about 25 to 30 hours getting a profile submitted to you. So we only ask that once we submit that profile to you, that you have an 8 to 10 minute phone call with them. And it's important that you hear what we heard. We're not going to submit anyone that we don't think is an ideal candidate. And so again, we just ask that you have an 8 to 10 minute phone call with them. And lastly, as I mentioned, we're really good at this abbreviated sales approach. And whether it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks or even 6 weeks, that sales process is sort of ingrained in our DNA. So if you're not going to hire anybody until October, let's talk in August. But we really ask that once you engage with us, you make an effort to speak to those people quickly, to complete the hiring process. We're not good at 90-day or 120-day searches. We're good at 1 month to 6 week searches, and that's our process. Thanks so much for allowing me to tell you about Talenya.